disclosure of this program. Viewer discretion is advised.
You're listening to Odyssey, A Tale from the Road, an audiobook by Christopher Cologne. All rights reserved. Any resemblance to persons living or dead are purely coincidental.
Chapter 7. Gabby was going crazy. He was stumbling around blind, cursing and swinging his massive arms around wildly. He started to grasp at the air, trying and threw everything he could get his hands on. He didn't care about who he might hit. Everybody in the club was an enemy of his now. He threw beer bottles, bar stools, anything that wasn't bolted down. When the stuff he threw hit and shattered the mirrored walls, that didn't slow him down. He just kept on chucking things around the room. The floor was littered with glass, pieces of bottles, shattered drinking glasses, and shards of mirror everywhere. If you fell down, your skin would have gotten shredded. Just like the night before in the parking lot, my band members stood frozen in fear while all this transpired. It was like they had lost all their heart. They were defeated men. They didn't even do much to protect themselves from Gabby's projectiles. Gabby, out of instinct, had made his way back across the club and somehow managed to get himself to the front door. It was his club, he would know the layout even if he couldn't see it. He felt for the front door and found the lock and bolted the front door. "I got you now, motherfuckers." Gabby screamed out. "Now the only way out is through me." I had helped Miranda up off the floor. She was a little woozy from her hit, but she instantly assessed the situation. She had grabbed my arm and said, "Come with me." Making our way through the impromptu obstacle course of toppled tables and chairs, Miranda had led me through the club to the door of the stripper's dressing room. A stripper's dressing room. Now there was a contradiction in terms. Even though a stripper is going to take off all of her clothes in front of a room full of strangers, she still needed a place to change outfits. I guess the process of changing clothes was still very personal and private. Miranda had motioned for the barmaid and the other stripper, who had been on stage all this time, to come join us in the safety of the dressing room. The barmaid and other stripper were with us instantly in the dressing room. Gabby was still throwing things around the room. Soon, he would run out of ammunition and would have to step away from the front door to find more things to throw. My band members were still glued to their seats. Had they lost their will for self-preservation? Did I have to tell them how to do everything? "Hey guys. In here," I was sticking my head out the dressing room door. Corey, Dimitri, Jimmy, and Raphael had started to make their way across the club to the dressing room door. Only Corey, Dimitri, and Jimmy had made it. Maybe it was because Gabby had heard my voice yelling out to the guys. He was able to get a bearing on where we were. He had picked up a bar stool over his head and tossed it in our general direction. I saw the guys come towards the door, and watched in horror, as the bar stool had connected with the back of Raphael's head. I knew right then and there, that Raphael wasn't getting up. The stool was thrown too hard. He wasn't knocked out, he was dead. Miranda had waited a heartbeat in vain, to see if Raphael would get up. He didn't. "You monster!" she screamed out, just before she locked the dressing room door. "You killed him, you piece of shit." She then slammed the door and locked it from the inside. We were safe for the moment. We were all trying to take in everything that had happened in the past couple of minutes. The room was barely big enough to hold 7 people. We were all in a state of panic. "What the fuck just happened?" Corey finally spoke up. "Where's Raphael?" "What do you mean by you killed him?" he asked Miranda. She answered with tears in her eyes. "That bastard threw a stool and it hit your friend in the back of the head. It killed him." The tears started to roll down her cheeks. Corey was in a state of disbelief. "No. Raf didn't die. He's alive. Open the door, so we can bring him in here, where it's safe." "Did you hear what I just said? He's dead," Miranda said with desperation in her voice. Corey turned to me. "Andy, open the door. Let's get Raphael. This girl is seeing things. We need to go out there, and get him, before things get worse." "I saw it happen, Corey. He's gone. There's nothing we could do about it. We need to be worried about ourselves right now, and how the hell we're supposed to get out of here. We need a plan," I answered. "Are you fucking kidding me, Andy?" Corey was incredulous. "Even if Raphael is out there, dead, we need to get out there, Andy." Just at that very moment we heard a bang at the dressing room door. It was Gabby pounding at the door with his immense hands. Corey stopped talking and we all faced the door, wondering how long it would take before Gabby broke it down. With the sheer force of his will, I knew Gabby could. This room was only designed to keep peeping Toms away from seeing dancers change into their outfits. The door to this room wasn't made to keep out a raging brute, like the one that had been trying to get to us. You are so fucking lucky that I can't find my keys right now. When I get in there, I'm going to kill you. All of you. Gabby kept pounding at the door. Miranda was infuriated. What are you going to do? Call your daddy? You're going to have him hold your hand through this, like he always does? Be a man, you fucking pendejo. She was instigating the situation. We weren't in a position to piss him off any further than he already was. In the little bit of Spanish I learned from Jimmy, I knew that pendejo meant punk or sissy. She was really laying into him and his insecurities, which only made him more mad. We needed to get out of here, before we lost anybody else. I don't need my dad. Gabby pounded the door, harder than before when he got to the last word of that comment. I don't need my uncle. I don't need anybody. I built this place. I found the location. I hired the girls. This is all mine. I got this place with my money. Miranda yelled back through the door, and where did you get that money? From your daddy. She had put a sarcastic emphasis, by drawing out the word daddy. It was adding fuel to an already out of control fire. The barmaid had lit a cigarette and put it in her mouth. She took a long drag and exhaled. The small room quickly filled up with smoke. She had decided to chime in. Gabby, I don't need this shit. You're stressing me the fuck out, right now. Why don't you let us go? Maybe I will forget that you just threatened our lives. I quit smoking a week ago. See what you're doing to me. I'm so stressed out, I just lit my emergency backup cigarette. She was so matter-of-fact about that last statement. She had probably dealt with Gabby's inhuman rages in the past. She was so stern, in the way she addressed him, it was probably the only way to get his attention. I want that asshole that hit me in my eye. And I want his fucking buddies too. As soon as I have them, I'll let you go. I promise. Gabby then addressed me directly through the door. Do you hear me, asshole? You and you buddies are mine. I'm going to grind you into the fucking ground. You know what? I want to know the name of the guy I'm going to destroy. What's your name, buddy? So can tell them what to put on your tombstone. I don't know why I even answered him. This scumbag just killed my friend and he wants to chat. My name? My name is Nobody, you piece of shit. And this nobody is going make you pay for killing his friend. I'm glad he's dead. 1 down and 4 to go. Not to mention that Brazilian bitch, too. I going to deal with her, when I'm done with you. Unlock this door and let me show you how serious I am. I'll take you all out myself. I don't know what came over me. Maybe it was that he was threatening my bandmates, or Miranda, or my own well-being, but I was tired of hearing him talk. I was going to shut him up once and for all. I had grabbed the cigarette from the barmaid's mouth. She started to object, but I was moving too fast for her. I unlocked the door to the dressing room and opened it as quickly as I could. There was Gabby, his whole mass, filling up the doorframe. Even if he had 2 functioning eyes, he wouldn't have seen what was about to happen. I took the barmaid's cigarette and jammed it in the swollen, purple slit of the shiner I had given Gabby moments earlier. The cigarette sizzled as it burned its way through Gabby's eyelid, and eventually down to his good eye. My heart was racing and I was acting faster than what my mind could comprehend. I couldn't be held responsible for my actions. I was cornered animal and I was striking back. Gabby's face distorted as he let out a blood-curdling scream. He dropped to his knees, clawing at his eyes, pulling out the still smoldering cigarette butt. Let's get the hell out here, I shouted, as we poured out of the dressing room. Corey cried out, we have to get Raphael's body. I felt so bad. There was nothing I could do. If there was a chance that RAF was still alive, I would have helped Corey, but we had to escape. Dragging a corpse with us would only slow us down, not to mention draw undue attention. I wasn't in the armed services. I never had a no man gets left behind policy. I loved RAF, and the moment we had a chance to settle down, I could call his family back home and let them know what happened and where their son's body was. I'd hate to sound callous, but where was Raphael when I needed him in the parking lot 24 hours ago? They would have been standing over my dead body because of their inaction, so that made my decision a little easier. I called back to Corey, there's no time. We have to save ourselves, before reinforcements show up. I got to the front door and unlocked it. I turned around and saw Miranda hunched over Gabby. He was still crying and writhing around on the floor in pain. His hands were covering his formerly good eye. Miranda was going through Gabby's pockets. What the hell was she looking for, that was so important that she would risk such a move? It was bold, and at one moment he reached blindly and caught her by the wrist. "What the fuck do you think you're doing, you crazy bitch?" he said breathlessly. "Doing something I should have done a long time ago," she said as she pulled back her stroppy stripper shoe and kicked Gabby right in the shriveled up cojones. His body went limp and he let go of Miranda. The pain had to be unbearable. He was sobbing hard, that he had a problem catching his own breath. Miranda went back to searching his pockets and found what she was looking for. She held it up like it was a prize, dangling it from her thumb and pointer finger, shaking it so it made a pleasant noise. She had his car keys. "Now, we can go," she said as if she just won the Mega Millions double jackpot lotto. I stood at the door as everybody who was with us in the dressing left. I wanted to be the last one to go. Miranda led the charge, followed by the other stripper, the barmaid, Dimitri, and then Jimmy. Corey was kneeling by Raphael's body. "This isn't right, man. We can't just leave him here like this," Corey said to me, crying at the loss of his friend. "I promise you, when all of this is said and done, we'll get payback. Now let's go." Corey understood, got up and raced out the door, to join everybody else. Now, it was just me, Gabby and Raphael's corpse. When Miranda had wrestled Gabby's car keys out his pocket, his cell phone had also spilled out on the floor. Gabby had fumbled for it, found it, and opened it. I could only assume he had his phone set up for speed dialing. He had it on speakerphone, because I heard it go through a rapid succession of key tones. There was a ring and a booming voice came out of the cell phone. "What is it, boy?" The voice answered, sounding irritated. "Day, Gabby was weeping. I need your help." "So?" The voice on the other end of the line had been none other than the notorious Arnie Ellis, himself. I thought a big boy like Gabby didn't need anybody's help, not even his daddy's. I was slightly impressed to hear the voice of the local celebrity over the phone. Then I quickly fell out of my haze, when I realized fully what was going on. "What do you need, now?" Arnie sounded exasperated. It was commonplace for Gabby to call only when he needed something. "I need you to send some guys down to the club. These asshole came into the club. They trashed the place and then they attacked me. One of them blinded me with a cigarette." Even in his extreme pain, Gabby was lying. He didn't want to admit to his father that it was all his fault. He was the one that escalated the situation that had led up to him being blinded. And he was the one that trashed the place, not us. I don't know why I just stood there and listened to him make the phone to his father. I also don't know why I had chosen that exact moment to finally speak up. I shouted out, "Stop lying, Gabby. Tell your father the truth about what really happened. You're still here." Gabby was vulnerable and his voice was filled with terror. Arnie's voice, even though it was coming out of the small speaker of the cell phone, filled the room. "Who said that, son? Who's there with you?" Gabby quickly answered before he could really think about the answer. He was only going by the name I gave him when I was locked in the dressing room. It's nobody."
Please visit twostrangersonePodcast.net.